All right, you guys. Well, welcome back, our lit ladies. We are back here coming in hot. We are just so excited because we have a very special guest today. And we're going to be talking a lot about having the courage to rebuild after an unhealthy work environment. So that is our main topic. And if this topic resonates or you're going through something like this, trust me, you're going to want to tune in because our special guest, Alexis, is about to bring it in. She's about to share her experiences of what it's like to be in a work environment that's not healthy, but break out of that and provide us tools and just a bunch of gems. So be ready, stay tuned, get your cafecito, your tea, because this is about to get lit right now. So let's do it. And Alexis, I'm so happy that you're here. You are such a wonderful human being. I feel like just by interacting with you shortly, it's been amazing. I know you're gonna drop so many gems for so many women out there that are in this place right now or are trying to navigate how to get out of here. But before we get started, I want you to give the audience a little like scoop of who is Alexis? Like, what is she all about and where you're at in your current season?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Iris. Hello, everyone. So I'm Alexis Becerra. So by training, I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I have over a decade working mostly out of the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area. I spent a lot of time helping build out one of the largest mental health programs for adolescents there. And during my time there, I was very involved in the community. I sat on county boards, I worked with different national nonprofits, and really giving voice and advocating for adolescent mental health. But during this process, I found myself in these different leadership roles and oftentimes being one, the only woman of color in these spaces. And as empowering as these can feel, they can also feel incredibly lonely, but also finding that I was navigating spaces not only alone, but like with no other person understanding what was going on in my own journey and what led me to be where I'm at, but also encountering all the difficulties that may come with leading really big teams and helping build out like one of a kind spaces that hadn't yet ever been created before. And during that, I found myself in a very unhealthy work environment, which has ultimately led to the work I'm doing now and really supporting Latina professionals heal and rebuild after unhealthy work environments so that they can not only amplify their impact as human beings and whatever it may be, whether it be in the next phase of their life, their healing journeys, but really giving them space to recognize like what was happening wasn't okay. Let's bring awareness to this, but also healing understanding and how do we navigate this moving forward.
That resonates so deep. Like, where were you when I needed you? Like, maybe what I want to say at this point, like more than 5 years ago, like, oh my gosh, especially in education and all that,
Mhm,
people don't talk about it enough. They
mhm,
just don't.
mhm.
We kind of just hush hush. We stick through it because it's like this, like, badge of honor that we wear where we're like we're
Yeah.
resilient, we got into this field for a reason and we're doing it for the kids or the families or lo que sea, right? But it's depleting and it's too much. Yeah, I feel like that work is so good. But I guess just to even kind of take it back a little bit, like how did you know when it was time where you were like, oh man, I am burnt out. I am definitely in an unhealthy place. Like, how can we start discerning that?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because a lot of the work I've done has been with domestic violence and abuse. I sit on a national organization's board. It's called Join One Love, and that's really to teach adolescents healthy and unhealthy relationships. And it's interesting because the idea behind it is to continue to teach younger generations, right? So when they get into these romantic relationships, they have tools and resources on what's healthy and what's unhealthy. Many conversations were never talked about to us, right? Like in our generations, like these
Mhm.
conversations were never happened. And if we didn't have appropriate role models, we just don't know what to look for. And so that's always been like in the back of my mind. To be quite honest, when you're in it, it's really hard to see. It's
Mm.
really, really, really hard to see. And I mean, I'm a mental health therapist, I'm a leader, I'm literally sitting on this national board and doing this work and educating youth, but it's really hard to see when you are yourself like in it. It's really hard. And so I can honestly say for myself, it was probably 2 years before that I started recognizing like something doesn't feel right. And I thought it was really to a point where I was like, I felt like I had just maxed out and there was no more room for me to grow. And so initially it was that was like the idea of there has to be something more. What else is there? Like I've hit all these like different goals for myself, graduating college, getting my master's, my license, like all these things. And then you kind of are like, well, what's next? And so initially I kind of thought it was that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was this interesting point because I got into this national fellowship for Latino leaders in education. And I remember this point being like, okay, I'm going to do this, but this is my last year. And it was interesting because it was like inside, but I hadn't really said it out loud, but it was like internally, like I knew that like I was done and I was going to stay because of this fellowship, right? But besides that, I started getting a slew of health things, like health scares were coming up for me. And that was really, really huge. And initially, your doctors are telling you to work out more, to cut down on alcohol, to do, walk more, do certain things. So in my head,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I was doing, right? I was eating healthier, wasn't really drinking. I was working out not only 1 hour, but 2 hours, a week or 2 hours a day, I mean. And then my
Yeah.
10,000 steps, like doing all these things to maintain what quote unquote they say is like healthy living, right? But nobody was saying, like, you're burnt out. This is what it is. And it was nuts. Like, I remember one time I didn't have like feeling in my hand. So then I was being tested for like rheumatoid arthritis, came back, nothing. My blood work was through the roof. Blood cells were like going crazy. It was as if I was like super not healthy, never working out. It was nuts, just all these things that were happening to me. And so, on top of that, then you're like fearful
Yeah.
for what's happening to me, like what is happening to me. And then you add that layer of stress that like nobody knows about besides you, right? Because you're the one having these conversations with your doctor. You're the one experiences this and recognizing I am not okay. And so it was like those little things started to happen. But then, and I'm going to be transparent, there was
Please.
a really hard meeting that my team and I walked out of. I happened to be in my fellowship that day. And that morning, we were talking about change management. And everything about that was geared towards like what I had just experienced in that previous meeting on what it means to be a good leader and how to impact change in teams. And it was then that I was like, this is abuse. This is literally abuse of power and management towards people. And it was being done by a white woman to women of color. And it was really, really being in that space that I was like, holy shit, this is real.
Girl, oh my gosh, it's crazy. I feel like we all got to take a moment to pause for that because so many of us don't realize that. We think
Yeah.
that they have our best interests at times, but it's like I want to honor your journey because you definitely followed that inner voice, that whisper, your body, most importantly, because your body
Mm-hmm.
was speaking to you in so many different ways, even though it is scary to not know like, hey, what is wrong with me? I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing
Mm-hmm.
these series of tests. And then I feel like that was your awakening moment from what it sounds like too. Like being in that meeting and just being like, what the F is this? Like,
Mm-hmm.
this is wrong. Man, like how did you show yourself I guess self-compassion in that moment, right? Because so many of us could be like, how did I not see this sooner? How did I not walk away knowing that this was not healthy, right? Especially for someone as brilliant as you, who's educated, that knows the stuff, that has studied
Mm-hmm.
it. Can you kind of walk us through like also what was going through that? Because obviously, like that awakening moment is so huge, but then it's like, how did you manage all of those emotions, the self-compassion piece to not beat yourself up and to know like, okay, God, it's, Alexis, it's time to move forward. Like we need to
Yeah.
have this ish.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, in the moment, it's really hard to see because you're very much living through that. But like that was such a key moment when I walked from one space to another, and to be like, my eyes were open that this was totally abuse. And then you do have those moments of like, here I am, I've spent the last how many years educating people on domestic violence and healthy and unhealthy relationships, and this shit was happening to me. And then it really hits me because it's like when we're educating adolescents, we talk about friendships, and because they oftentimes don't recognize that those two can be unhealthy. And it really started to hit me that two of the most discussed, underrated relationships around abuse are friendships and work relationships. Those two also impact us immensely. And I mean, we spend more times at work than we ever do with our partners at times, our families at times, because you're there the majority of the day, then you're home for a few hours, and then you go to sleep, right? And you start all over again. And so that was a really huge awakening for me, that I was like, okay, we're still not talking about it. And then when we talk about burnout, we really talk about it from the lens of like, it's the person who's experiencing it's fault. Like, they're not doing enough. They're not taking care of themselves enough. They're not putting enough boundaries. And no one's talking about how abusive the system is.
It's so
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You
Go
bring
ahead,
up
Tati.
such a good point, Alexis, of like when you're in this kind of like abusive environment, it's so subtle and
Mhm,
you can
mhm,
it doesn't matter if you have all of the skills, it doesn't matter
mhm,
if you know all of the things, like anyone can be a victim of abuse, right? Whether it's in
mhm,
a relationship or whether it's in a like work environment. And so and because it's so subtle. So I'm
mhm.
curious to know, as someone who was in that environment, how were you able to notice those like subtle signs of like, oh my gosh, this is abuse?
Yeah. I mean, the meetings, it was interesting because the meetings were the power dynamic. There was like, if we asked questions, if we may have challenged something in the sense of like, hey, like this doesn't seem right, doesn't feel right, we were instantly hit with this very intense emotion from our management, from our bosses. And then I'd noticed like our team would just kind of just like crouch away, right? And or we were lied to, we were blatantly lied to at times. And so then there was manipulation, and then being manipulated and gaslit and information withheld for us to do our jobs better at the sake of them protecting their own job. And so these were things that started to pile up, and I would recognize like our meetings, we would leave them and just be like depleted, exhausted, felt as if we were going nowhere when we were trying to help continue to build out this team that we've been from the beginning, from the ground up. And then I'd noticed a few of my colleagues, they would be like, hey, can we process this after? And so we were kind of like, are we crazy? Like, did this just happen? Is it just me? And luckily there's a few of us, and mind you, we're all no longer there. We've all, like, within 6 months to a year, we've all left. It's nuts. And so you really start to like question your sanity, you start to question your ability as a leader. And then I started to recognize in myself, and I actually just spoke to one of my former colleagues the other day, and we were like, we were turning into people who weren't us. We are very joyful, we are very motivated, we are very, and we started to become like recognizing like we felt angry all the time. We felt bitter of the fact of like, we're trying to make this work and for the best, and yet we were keep coming up against these walls. And then this wall wasn't just a wall, it was an abusive wall. It'd come back and hit us. And eventually, I'll be transparent, I stopped talking in meetings. And it's funny when I don't know if it's like Adam Grant or Simon Sinek, one of those guys who essentially say like, when you're taught people stop speaking, you should be
Yes.
worried.
Wow.
And I had to be in that meeting because I had to, but I just had nothing more to give anymore. And then the crazy part is I get pulled into another meeting because I'm being talked to about not speaking anymore in meetings. And it's like,
Mm.
I'm trying to protect my peace here. I'm here because I have to, and I'm trying to protect my peace. But then you're still getting in trouble, even though you're doing your job. but you're needing to no longer be in this fight space, no longer being in this place of abuse, but you're still getting in trouble.
Yeah, which I was gonna say it's mind-blowing, right? Because it's kind of touching
Hmm.
base on what you said before, like how this system is designed to really blame ourselves. Like, I mean, I
Yeah.
heard you multiple times saying, "I was questioning my own sanity. My team was
Hmm.
questioning our own sanity," right? And
Hmm.
that just
Hmm.
shows, right? For some of us who are out there and maybe in that same position, like, this is a sign, right? Like, and to be mindful and to be careful because, yo, I mean, I'm sure again, like a lot of us here in this space know who we are. We're
Hmm.
relearning, all doing all the stuff, but to question ourselves, like
Yeah.
that, that is a huge identity piece
Hmm.
of us that
Hmm.
gets reshifted and our energy shifts. Like you said, the results of that is because look at you guys, you got quiet after a while.
Yeah.
And then even then you were getting in trouble, which is
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. Oh my gosh.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
because you said like in trouble, so I'm also wondering, because I've gone through similar situations, and I think
Hmm.
even when it came to work-life balance, that was frowned upon, which was also a sign for me of like, what is wrong with you? What do you mean I can't have a work-life balance? I'm wondering if you also got in trouble with those type of things, like sometimes even taking longer for your lunch, things like that, like trying to leave early probably was like not a thing.
I mean, it became more and more micromanaged, right? Our time became micromanaged. It was really hard to say no because if you said no out of the protection of your own peace, then you were guilt tripped, right? Well, who else is going to do this? We really
Yeah.
need to do this. And decisions were being made at this higher level and they were already passed through board. They were already passed through all these different levels. So then you were never even given this opinion on what's happening to your own time. And that was actually something I brought up because there was a week, two Februarys ago, actually, I had assessed, I think, 12 students for suicide in 9 days. And mind you, I'm a leader of a team. I have a team of 5. I'm working alongside admin, counseling, building out their SEL programs. And as somebody who's already a leader, like it's really hard to hold that. And that was just me. That was just me who assessed that amount of students, not even my team. And that would have been something we had been bringing numbers to them and we had been saying, hey, we are up 300%. Our team hasn't grown. We are already coming out of the pandemic, just like depleted, right? All of us out of this pandemic. And I said, you haven't stepped foot on our campus in how many months, years, like you haven't asked this. And the response was, well, you don't know our job either. And I was just like, okay. I was like, it had nothing to do with we don't know your job. What I'm saying is like, one, you can't advocate for us if you have no idea what's happening. And then you're not even asking how we're doing. And we're coming to you and telling you we're not okay. We are not okay.
I'm so curious to know how you were able to get yourself out of this situation because you were experiencing all of these health concerns
Hmm.
and you were in this state of chronic burnout. And I feel like when you're in these states, it almost feels impossible to take action of any kind, right? And you feel so overwhelmed and you're really running on E. And so
Hmm.
I'm wondering how you were able to finally get out or stop this cycle.
Yeah. I mean, there was this moment, and I know like deep down inside, like I knew like I had to get out of here. And the biggest thing that was fearful for me was like, should I live in the Bay Area, one of the most expensive places in the world? Like I'm a single girl, and how am I going to make this? Right. And so, luckily, years prior, I had bought in a home when I was in college with my ex, and we had sold that. So I had like this savings. And mind you, I didn't even think about using it because I was like, no, I can't use this. Like, this is in my head to buy another house like one day. And it was really after one of the time I ended up in the ER that was just such a huge awakening because I was like, dude, I can die. I can literally die, especially when my doctor was like, you can have a heart attack. And I'm like, dude, I'm like in my 30s. Like, how is this possible? And that idea around mortality was really, really scary. And it was really her. And I'm so thankful for my doctor to be who she was, who really was like, you're done. You're done. And it has nothing to do with you. It has you've done enough. It has everything to do with like you're the system. Because she even said it. She's like, I don't even have to deal with that much suicide that you're dealing with. I don't have to deal with that level of heaviness. She's like, my days are varied in the work I'm doing. She's like, and I'm a doctor. And she's like, no, it's not humanly possible to continue to hold all of this. And I'm so grateful for that because it really gave me like the other extra kick in the ass that I needed to like just be like, it's time. It's really, really time. And so I gave myself that time and that leave. It was very interesting because when I talked to the union, it's wild. The union sat there and told me, well, you can't get caught at the beach or hiking or doing certain things. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, they can see it as you taking this leave as you're just going to have fun. And I was like, but all this is self-care. And so it's like, it's just wild because I live in the peninsula in the Bay Area. I live like 10 minutes from where I work in our district. And I live 20 minutes from Pacifica. I live by these nature places that we should be able to be in. And so there was this moment of like, I'm trapped. Like I'm secretly hiking. I'm secretly doing things. And you felt this feeling of being trapped still and you couldn't even truly heal from it. And so then I was like, I'm out of here. That's really when I made the decision. I knew I was not going to be able to heal in the same space that was already harming me, in the same area that it didn't feel good in anymore. It didn't feel safe to take care of myself there. And I ended up leaving. That's when I left, when I ended up deciding to, in the moment when I initially decided, I thought I was going to take 2 months and take care of myself and just be away. And then it became more evident that I was like, all this can be replaced, like my house stuff, my furniture, everything. And literally within 2 months from the decision, I sold everything, packed up, and had no idea what I was going to be doing next. But I knew I was going to end up backpacking for a little bit. And for me, like I've mentioned to you guys before, like it wasn't travel, it was healing. It was really, really finding spaces to heal. I didn't do stereotypical travel things. I was really, really immersing myself in nature and in places that my soul felt like I needed to be in.
I just want to say that took a lot of courage to leave a place, a familiar place that
Mhm,
has been home for you for so long, on
mhm,
top of the work that you did, right? Because when you go into these spaces, you go with the intention of wanting to lead and to support people, but to what extent, though, right?
mhm.
It's like we
Yeah.
have to know that for ourselves. And I'm so happy to hear that you found that along your journey. Was it easy? Heck no, it was not easy. It took a lot of awakening moments, those, like, subtle, like, little nudges that, like, knocked at your door and was
Mhm,
like, "Hey, you need to wake up," and you finally took action because it is hard, and I think for a lot of us, like, Tati was asking the question earlier, like, how did you even, like, navigate all of that while feeling so burnt out? Because there are many people out there who are in these particular fields and feel stuck. They feel frozen. They feel like they can't leave. And if
mhm.
they do want to leave, fear really takes over and keeps them in that same place. And I want to just thank you, right? Like that's the energy that I'm feeling. It's like I just want to thank you for showing people that there is a different path, that
Mhm.
you don't have to stay, that you can up and leave, and to really go into what your soul needs. Because at that point, what
Yep,
you did was soul care.
yep, yep.
Like, that is deep rooted stuff,
Mhm,
because that's what your body needed. That's what your
mhm,
spirit needed too.
mhm.
And I feel like there's so many great results from that. And I don't know if you wanna or if anybody else wants to chime in before I ask a question, but I was like, I just wanted to honor that piece of you though, because again, it was not easy, but you
No.
did it. And I
No, and I'd like to share that, stereotypically I was doing everything the doctors were saying, and even what my doctor was saying was right. And luckily I had a doctor who at one point was like, "No, we're done." Right? Like you are doing everything right, and now we have to do something different. And by nature, like we just trust our doctors. And so it's like if you, especially as a woman, are like, I feel something else, this person isn't giving me what I need, get a second opinion. Start to like seek resources outside, because so often we just stick it through, and that might, doctor, and not to be wrong, there's shitty of everything, shitty doctor shitty, teacher shitty, everything, right? Like there's
Yeah.
they're not all the best. Let's be realistic, but it's like if you're not feeling like this person isn't giving you truly what you need and you're feeling deep inside your soul, like it's okay to ask for a second opinion. It's okay to, I mean, that's how I got to the doctor I have, because my initial doctor was like, no, it's not stress. No, it's not this.
Mhm.
And if you want a doctor of color, get a doctor of color, because they'll
Mhm.
understand your background, everything you've gone through so differently than somebody who might be white, to be transparent.
Yeah, 100%. No, I
Mhm.
agree.
No, I agree, and I'm there with you. I'm a big advocate on if that doctor isn't giving you what you need,
Mhm.
do not be afraid to
Mhm.
question them, but just be okay with knowing that if it's not comfortable, then it's just not for you, and that's okay to walk
Yep.
away. Yes, these are professionals. Yes, they've done the work, but at the end of the day, if it doesn't sit well with you, do not stay there. And that goes for anything, not just a doctor.
Yeah,
That goes for anyone out there.
absolutely.
But also, I wanted to say you're a warrior. Like, you're a warrior. Because to have to put
Oh,
up
thank
with
you,
all
Lupe.
that, like, yeah, that's a lot. I'm a rebel by nature, so immediately if something doesn't work out, I'm like, "Goodbye." But the fact that you tried and you attempted, and there's so many people out there that I think, especially I
Mhm.
think Latina women who try to, like, brave it out and like, "No, it's okay. Maybe it's just me." And they continue to, like, fall into that cycle of, "Maybe it is just me. Let's ride it out a little longer." Or I should just be thankful for this job. So it's okay. At least I have a job. Let me just write it out. And
Mhm.
no, it's not okay. So definitely a warrior. And thank you for sharing this story because I know a lot of people are going to be able to resonate and hopefully cause a change for them too.
Yeah. Thank you, Lupe.
Nah, girl, but now you gotta tell us like all the beautiful outcomes that you got from that. Cause from being a warrior and putting all like como dijo esta Lupe, putting on your shield, your armor piece by piece. And I don't see it as like a hard armor. It became soft because you took
Mhm.
this decision, right? It became more healed, like more hopeful for the future.
Mhm.
And like I want
Mhm.
our listeners to know where that's taken you so far, all the joy, all the adventures that you've seen because of that.
Yeah. So I'm definitely an adventurer by like nature. I love travel, and I've traveled all around the world at this point, and I've solo traveled quite a bit. And so I think when it came down to making this leap, I ended up you're scared because and it was a different type of feeling of like fear. Like it wasn't fear of traveling, it wasn't fear, it was more of this fear of like what's to come, and how much time do I even give myself to heal and to rest, and let's figure out where this journey is going to lead me. And so prior to that, I had been really drawn to this retreat outside of Guatape, Buddhist silent meditation retreat, full yoga, and outside of Guatape, Colombia. And I, first off, prior to this, you would have never caught me in a yoga class. So that already was like, I was intimidated. I was like, oh no, because I was very much a girl who, I mean, I ran Spartan races. I was hit, like I was doing hit workouts, which later I started to recognize and reflect like, shit, dude, I was starting my days at 4:30 a.m., hitting, one, sleep deprived because I was like I couldn't go to sleep the night before and I was stressed out trying to get to sleep. And then I was like forcing myself to work out, and then starting
Yeah.
my day on these adrenaline rushes, right? And how unhealthy that was already to that point for
Mm.
me, then working all day at adrenaline, and then by the end of the day just completely depleted and burnt out. And so doing yoga, I'm not even gonna lie, like for me it was like scary. I was like, I'm gonna do yoga every day, and I'm gonna be in this silent retreat. Like you're not gonna talk in this place. As scary as it was, because you don't know. You're like, am I gonna crack? Like I feel like I'm gonna crack, but like and what
Yeah.
is that gonna look like, right? But I knew there was just something crazy inside of me that was like, you need this. You need this.
Mhm.
And I remember I just had told a friend, I was like, I don't want anybody to ask anything of me anymore. Like I was having nightmares of people coming to me for crises, for this. And I just felt like I was being
Yeah.
pulled in all these, like, there was nothing left for me, you know? It was everything I needed and more, man. The fact, I'm getting choked up a little bit. It was wild. Like the people I met on this journey as well, we were all going through our own big life transitions. And it's interesting when you travel outside of high travel season because when you're traveling during travel season, everybody's out for vacation, right? When you're traveling outside of high travel season, a lot of times you might find people, especially in backpacking communities, like they're really exploring who they are and trying to find out like what's next for themselves. And so I met these amazing humans who were all going through these different life struggles and trying to figure out who they were next. But the fact that I had so much peace in those days, oh my gosh, like, and there was moments that it hit me like I didn't worry about money because I had already paid for the thing. I didn't worry about food because I was having these delicious, nourishing meals that I wouldn't even get hungry in between meals. So like you're not even thinking about snacks or anything like that. And I just had time to be in this beautiful jungle in nature, this beautiful ashram. It was the most amazing experience I could ever imagine. It was everything I needed, and I didn't know how much I needed it. And there was so much life wisdom learned in there as well with the retreat leader, and also learning so much about Buddhism. Like I didn't realize how much I recognize, and a lot of like my values correlate with Buddhist values as well. And so that was such a beautiful thing. And then from there, I ended up at a vegan retreat. I am not vegan, but I ended up at a vegan retreat, like, and I was hiking in different parts of Colombia, and like salsa dancing was part of this retreat as well. And like just so beautiful, like to be like doing things in such a different way and in different space. And then I ended up a lot on like the Caribbean and like in Minca, Buritaca, Palomino, like all these different places. A lot of time spending in hammocks, just rusty,
Girl, the word that came up was like que rico. Like from going from all this craziness to like que rico mode, I'm like, give me some of that because I felt it. I was like, ooh, I really like that you got to experience all of that, how nourishing it was. Yeah, literally, que rico. Like it was nourishing. It was just everything that you needed, and you can sense the peace. Like as you were even talking, I felt my heart like frequency go up. Like I just felt it all here, but in the best way possible, where I was like, wow, like, isn't that crazy? Like by you taking the leap of faith, you got to experience all of that. And there is hope on the other side.
Yeah.
And connecting with yourself and connecting with other people who will heal you just as much and carry you on this journey. Because it sounds like you were carried, you were supported, and you just got to do so many amazing things. And I'm so happy for you. But seriously though, like that is the vibe of your life, que rico mode. Like I'm just telling you right now.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it is. And you're 100% right, Iris. Like I met people along this journey who gave me just like these nuggets of wisdom that I still hold with today. And it was so validating in my experience, and people of all ages, right? And I met other people, like when I was at this place in Buritaca, I mean, it's this cacao farm, and he's this French guy who left Paris. He was an engineer, and he's like, all I wanted was like no winter, sea, and a hammock. And he's like, and I got it. I'm in no winter. There's a sea right there, and here's my hammock. And so he has this cacao farm. But it was also like I saw so many examples of like rebuilding and starting over. And at times it might feel like we're gonna hit rock bottom, but just when that's gonna happen, if it might happen, you're gonna shoot right back up. And so there was like these examples of like, man, I'm not alone. You're not alone in this journey.
Yo, that gave me goosebumps. Did it give you guys goosebumps? Because it gave me, as you mentioned, rebuilding.
Hope.
Right? Go ahead, because I'm like, I know you got something.
No, I'm like that. That gave me hope. Like I felt it in my heart. Because even for like someone who may feel like they have somewhat their life together, it still feels like, well, what is next? How do I know what's next? But I don't know, even with your example, it still feels like there is hope, and there will always be hope to build, rebuild as many times as you need, because it's just possible.
Yeah.
I always say that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and I feel like you're living proof that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And Alexis, I feel like you're just such an inspiration, and I feel like I've gotten the gift of hearing more of your story, and I feel like this workplace experience is just one part of your life. And I feel like, hearing Lupe and Iris say that you are a warrior, like you are a warrior. I truly believe that you are a warrior because you have gone through so much beyond the workplace experience. And I feel like you've overcome so much. And I I'm grateful for your vulnerability and the gift that you're giving all of us to see that vulnerability and to see what you've overcome and to, show people that there is that light at the end of the tunnel. So I just want to say thank you. And, I feel I am just like grateful to know you as a human.
Yeah, as you were talking, you were like bringing the tears to my eyes, because I know from our conversations, more about the past, and I will say, what was beautiful about that retreat was, and learning about Buddhists, some of their theories, is this idea of death and rebirth,
Yes.
and how we're always doing it, like we're always doing it. And it has to, right? Like you're letting layers, your sheds of layers off, and then you're becoming anew, you're blossoming again, and sheds of layers and blossoming in again, and those layers hold on as long as they need to, but when it's time, they have to go, right? And even the idea of like a snake, right? Like a snake has to shed, otherwise it will literally die if it doesn't, in order for it to grow. And so it's like there's so much, like reflecting back on my life, there's just so much of that, and for all of us, all of us. And I think I'm so grateful for myself as well, to be, as scary as it is, to do it.
Oh my gosh, and isn't it coincidentally the year of the snake too, you guys? Is that it?
It
Is
is. I
that
think it
it?
is.
Is
Right?
it?
It is.
It is.
It's the year of shedding and releasing, you
Yeah.
guys. So you guys can all get to Alexis's energy. I'm just saying. 'Cause as she mentioned that, I was like, wait, isn't that the
It
year
is.
too?
Mhm.
So what a coincidence. And I feel like, oh, man, you just dropped so many gems. Like honestly, all in one. I'm just grateful for your journey as well and for the teachings that you're also bringing in this space, right? Because of, como dijo esta Tati, like you being vulnerable is allowing people to also receive
Mhm.
the wisdom that you got. And we didn't even go to this retreat, but I'm
Mhm.
sure the listeners listening and like I pictured it all in my mind.
Mhm.
I felt it. And now I'm like, wow, like I get to allow myself to go through the experience of rebuilding. And it's okay to do the whole rebirth process.
Mhm.
It's scary as heck, as you
Mhm.
mentioned, but I feel like at the end it's all worth it.
Mhm.
All worth it. Because I mean, again, like your testimony, and I'm sure like your life theme has proven that to you constantly about how much it is important to let some things die so you could be reborn to something completely beautiful and
Yeah.
stronger and newer. So you can keep going in this journey of you doing the amazing work that you're doing. Because, yeah, every experience that you've gone through, I'm sure, resonates so much with the community that you serve. And it makes you a better leader. Because I think about Simon
Mhm.
Sinek all the time too. I love his work.
Mhm.
And I could see you being that, but in the brown space, we're helping women of color, just being like, we got this, like
Yeah.
we don't have to live in these systems
Mm-mm.
that are designed to break us. Like we can
Mhm.
actually create a newer system to allow ourselves to be reborn. And I think that's so dope. Oh my gosh, I hope that's what you use for your branding, girl. Like, I don't know. Please use all of that stuff because
My friend's husband, he's like, he always calls me, he's like, you're the hope dealer. He's like, I know.
dealer. Girl,
I
yes.
know,
Oh,
I
That is
have
so
to like
good.
start. Yeah, he's like, you're the hope dealer.
can you
He's
start
like,
making stickers, little
Yes.
sweaters,
That
you
is
have
so
by
to
all
good.
means,
something.
I'll buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
same.
he calls me the hope dealer, and he says, he's like, his friend, he's like, I've never met somebody, he's like, we've all gone through our hard stuff, he's like, but you still always make us believe there's something more and that we can achieve more,
Oh,
and that this
that's what
isn't
you
it.
are.
Mhm.
You are
Yeah.
Alexis, the hope dealer.
That's your
Yeah, you
gift.
are.
Yes,
Yeah, your gift is the hope dealer.
I know.
yes.
Because even
Yeah.
like even for if I hope everyone goes onto YouTube and watches because even in your face like you glow. Like
No,
Yes.
I
thank
could see
you.
like something shining through
Mhm.
and I know a bit of your backstory. So
Yeah.
I'm like, how? I mean, it's amazing and you shine and I hope you never let anyone or anything dim that light.
Nah, she's not because she's the hope dealer. She's about to go all in, passing
No,
down the
cheering for
hope and
her.
I
the sprinkles.
know. We're all getting teary here.
Yeah.
We're all feeling the
Yeah.
feels. I love
Yes,
it.
I
Yes.
love it.
Thank
Oh my
you.
gosh. No, but Alexis, is there anything else that's in tu corazón where you're like, man, I feel that I need to like share this with a listener or just any words of wisdom that you would love to just express?
Just that, to really trust your soul. to really, really go in there. And I know at times it's really hard to listen to it, but it's calling you for a reason. And even if you don't know, I think the biggest thing is like, I sit there and think like I'm in Colombia and I would have never imagined that this is where I'd be. Like if you would have asked me years ago, I'd be like, oh, gonna live in Italy and things like that would be my first like, and the universe will give you everything you need. And it might not look like what you expected it to look like, but it's going to be everything you need. And so we have to like let go of that sense of like it has to look this way because this is the way I planned
Yes.
it, to control that. So to let go of that and trust, and my friend told me, she's like, because I remember I was like, friend, I just feel so like I can't, like I don't feel grounded, I don't feel clear. And she said, well, just remember, clarity is different than control. And I was like, you're right. And like here I'm finding clarity and I'm finding all these little lights at the end of the tunnel are coming, but it doesn't look anything what I would have imagined it to look like years ago.
And isn't that
So trust
amazing?
that.
Oh, girl, you just talked about a little bit about surrendering there.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
loved it. Yes. Oh, mic drop. That was so good. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I need to calm myself down. My heart frequency is up there. I swear. I'm like, Alexis is bringing all the heart stuff out. You
Go
also
ahead.
reminded me of The Alchemist a little bit. I don't know if you've read the book before,
I
but
haven't read it yet.
no. Well, the
I'll read
universe
it. I'll add it.
conspires to give you what you want. And when you said that, I was like, in that book, they talk a lot about that. And I just picture that on you. Hope dealer, alchemist, like this girl's the warrior. What else? What else, please? You have so many like beautiful energies in you. So awesome. Alexis, it's been an honor to have you here. But before we wrap this up, we do have some fire questions for you, girl.
Ooh,
You
okay.
ready?
Oh my gosh. All right, let's do it.
All
Right.
right. Awesome, girl.
What lights your fire? What sets you on fire? What motivates you?
So I've recognized that I am uncomfortable and comfortable. And so for me, it's like I love being in new spaces. I love meeting new people. I know for at times what feels scary to others might not as always feel scary for me. So like going up and meeting new people, and engaging. So like I love it. I love to be in those spaces. And if it brings me adventure, if it brings me like life experience, sign me up.
I love it. I love it.
That's so good.
Okay. If you could describe yourself as an animal, what animal would you choose?
Oh, Tati, that one's really hard. I never thought of myself as an animal.
What came up first, girl?
Koala, and I don't even know why.
See that?
Oh, yes, I love
A
that.
koala.
That's good. That's a good one. I like that.
Good. Oh my gosh, now I'm gonna search it up too. I'm gonna be like,
I
hey,
was
Google,
actually
what
gonna
does a
be
gonna say,
koala
is there a
mean?
meaning?
No, I love it. Oh my gosh, that'll be so good. Lupe, are you looking it up, by the way? Okay,
Oh
perfect.
yeah.
Lupe's
Yeah, I
gonna
was like,
search
I have
that
no
up.
idea.
But in the meantime, like I'm gonna go ahead and ask you my question. It's gonna be, what has transformed you recently that nobody knows of? So spill the tea, girl.
That's a tough one too. I
Yeah,
think.
this one is a tough one. I feel like, especially now, since I share more of my life, especially even on like my business stuff, I'm like, what don't people are starting to know? It's been interesting because since coming to Colombia, I've been slowly starting to learn salsa dancing, and it was something I've always wanted to do since like forever, but I was always intimidated to do it, and this idea of like not wanting to be bad at something and make a fool of myself. And here I've allowed it to do that. And it also, there's so much in this like relinquishing of control and having to trust your partner and learning to move your body and listening to your soul. And so like in being here where there's music everywhere, like it's just so amazing. I love it. And it's really, I would want to say that it's like allowing myself to be really bad at something in order to live and to feel free, and remind yourself it's okay to let the other person leave.
That is
Love
good.
that. That was
I
so
love
good.
that. Oh, that was
So
so
good.
good. Oh my gosh. Lupe, by the way, did you
I know
get it?
jealous.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the cherry on top of it all is Alexis said koala because this symbolizes qualities such as tranquility, adaptability, and harmony with nature.
Oh my gosh.
Boom.
That's why it came up for you.
Love it. Love
That's
it.
it. That's
Oh my
awesome.
gosh.
Love it.
And that should be your little like
My little
animal spear for your Hope Dealer brand. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Cutest little thing.
You want to brand your brand even more, you just call Edie's.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. She has all the
That's so many
ideas.
ideas for her.
Yeah. I mean, I've thought about that, like branding the utilizing a Hope dealer, but I'm like, gosh, as you all know, being a one woman show right now, it's hard. We do everything. Like
Yes.
every web thing, everything.
Yeah.
Literally,
all,
though.
so,
It
Yeah.
is true.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, but don't worry, girl. Now you have sprinkles of ideas
Yeah.
so you can use.
I love it.
Oh man.
So.
Well, we are so grateful for you, girl. And I know people are going to be like, how do I connect with Alexis? Give me all the juices. And I know you have so many things that you're coming up with in the next couple of months, actually. So go ahead and tell the listeners, where can they find you? How can they connect? And if they want to work with you, all that good stuff. How can they find you?
First off, thank you all. Thank you, ladies, for having me. I loved having this conversation today, and I love your guys' energy as well. And so, for me, you guys can find me on Instagram. So you can find me at it's Alexis Becerra. And then I also have my website where you can gather more information about what the work I'm doing with private coaching, workshops, and any type of speaking events. It's also at www.itsalexisbecerra.com, and then LinkedIn as well. So I'm having people reach out to me through LinkedIn. And so definitely feel free to shoot me a DM and reach out to me in any of those. Slide in through the DMs. I'm totally an open book. Sign up if you're interested in doing one-on-one coaching. Would love to have you. I have my Calendly days open, so feel free to sign up and we can connect. I am also, I haven't said this yet, but I'm developing a webinar. So the webinar will be March 18th. So all of that and that's really going to be around the work-life balance reset. So really reconnecting and understanding what's been going on and how to give people tools and resources on resetting as they move into this new year. And then, and I have some different things. I actually just agreed to be at a conference in April outside in South Miami, area. And then, so things are happening. Things are coming up. I think I'm going to be in Denver also in April to be helping leading the Surge Professional Development Retreat. And so stuff is happening.
Yeah, we're so proud of you. Oh my gosh,
you're doing the
congrats.
things.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm scared at
Love
times, but I'm doing it.
Yeah,
Girl,
you got this.
The world
Thank
needs
you.
you. They
Yes.
need
Thank
the
you.
Hope dealer. They need Alexis Becerra. So it's like they need your energy and they need to know that it's time to armor up, but in the best way
Yes.
possible.
Yeah.
So they could see the life that they've always desired. And to break the systems, it's time to freaking dismantle it. So it's like, and you're gonna do that. And your voice is so powerful, it's no surprise why you got these gigs. So again, if you're a listener that's also wanting to book her, please do not hesitate to reach out to her. Please, please, please. The world needs Alexis.
Yes.
But oh my gosh, girl, we are so grateful for you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to our audience, our community, for being here as well. And remember, ladies, keep going in your journey. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and stay lit. We'll catch you all next time. Bye.
Yes, ciao.
Thank you for joining us today on Lit Podcast. We hope this conversation has ignited a spark within you so that you keep embracing your journey.
Remember, transformation takes time, but every step brings you closer to the life you're meant to live. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, share, and leave a review.
Let's continue this journey together. Until next time, stay lit and keep transforming.